Hi, everyone. This is Paul Shearer with ERP Suites. So today I've got an update in our Find Your Cloud series. There was a recent announcement from AWS where they've introduced the new X2 Instance Family. Now this has been announced. It's not currently available, but it's coming soon to a region near you. And I want to get into what are the implications of this instance family and why, if you're on AWS and you're using processor-based licensing, this instance family might be a really good option for you. But before we get into the specifics of the X2, I want to start off with a safe harbor statement. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about Oracle licensing. And this represents my understanding of the topic as of today. As always, I could be wrong. You should refer to your Oracle licensing agreement as the authoritative document. Even if in general all of my specifics are right, you could have unique language that was negotiated in your agreement that makes it different. So always go back to that licensing agreement as the authoritative point where you're starting from. So Oracle processor-based licensing. So whenever you're deploying in the cloud, it's very interesting. So if you're coming from an on-prem environment, you probably know about the x86 core factor, where it basically says 2 cores on x86 were equal to 1 core on a RISC-based processor. When dealing with the cloud, though, you get to throw that out largely. So for Azure and for AWS, one processor is equal to 2 vCPU, which generally speaking is equal to 1 core. For OCI, one processor, though, equals 4 vCPU or 2 core. And if you're talking about standard edition only, one processor on OCI equals 8 vCPU. So what this means in practice is that for the same sized server on OCI versus AWS or versus Azure, you need twice as much Oracle database licensing to cover that same number of seats. So how AWS attempted to deal with this previously was the introduction of the X1e family. So this was a instance family specifically designed to give you as few cores as you could get away with as much memory as you could allocate. So as you can see below at the bottom, the X1e X large. So it had 4 vCPUs. So that means that you're talking 2 Oracle processor licenses, but you were getting 122 gig of RAM. So great shape. I love the ratios here. The 2X large, 8 vCPU, and you're getting 244 gig of RAM. The problem with this is it's a database. And specifically with J. Edwards, you need fast disk. You need great throughput. And if you can see under dedicated EBS bandwidth, it really wasn't there on this shape. So there's something I jokingly refer to as Paul's Law of J.D. Edwards performance. What this states is that 90% of the time, your J.D. Edwards performance bottleneck is the database. And 90% of the time, that database bottleneck is disk I/O. So how do you deal with the problem? Well, there's a couple ways. You can add more RAM to the server, you can have faster disk I/O, and you can do database compression. Now, a couple things to call out is more RAM to the server and database compression only helps you with the reads, which is good because 98% of all of your activity against your database is going to be reads. However, those writes are important too, and the only thing that's going to improve your write performance is that faster disk I/O. So this brings us to the X2 family in our saga. So to recap where we're at, severe licensing restrictions from Oracle. They made a first pass at it with the X1e, but it had performance issues related to EBS storage. So now we've got the X2 family. The first version of it that we're going to look at is the X2 IEZN. Say that 10 times real fast, kind of a mouthful. The very first server on the list, 4 vCPU, 128 gig of RAM. Love the ratio there. and we get up to 20 gigabytes per second bandwidth, EBS bandwidth. Now, that's awesome, but always be careful whenever you see the words up to. What it means is this particular instance type could be susceptible to a noisy neighbor type of problem. So some other instances on there, it's sucking up a lot of bandwidth. You might not actually be able to get that full 20 gigabits per second. That being said, though, this is a really nice instance type. Another in the X2 instance family is the X2 IEZN. So let's take a look at the 2X large. So you've got 8 vCPUs that'll take 4 processor-based licenses from Oracle. It's going to get you a whopping 256 gig of RAM, but more importantly, 3.17 gigabits per second of EBS bandwidth. Now, let's contrast that back with the X1e 2X large before. So roughly the same vCPU and RAM ratio, which we really like, but the X1e 2X large only had 1 gigabit per second of EBS bandwidth. We're talking 3 times the bandwidth on this new family. So if you are going AWS and you are Oracle processor-based licensing, this is definitely an option I would encourage you to take a look at. So do you have any questions about your existing cloud environment, or you want to do a workshop and really get into what it would look like to move the cloud? Reach out to us at findyourcloud@erpsuites.com to schedule your free assessment. This is Paul Shearer wishing you a fantastic day. Bye.